On February 2, 2026, many thousands of people stood on a cold hill called Gobbler's Knob in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. The temperature was near 1 degree above zero. These people came from many countries. They traveled for hours in the dark, not for a concert or a big meeting. They came to watch a groundhog. This groundhog, named Punxsutawney Phil, came out of his hole. He saw his shadow. This meant 6 more weeks of winter, people believed. Loud sounds came from the crowd when they heard this news. This event has happened for over 150 years in America. Its ideas come from even older times in Europe. Groundhog Day is a very strange and important celebration in the United States. This report will look closely at what happened at the 2026 ceremony. It will explore where this strange tradition truly started. We will ask if there is any real science behind what the groundhog does. This report will discover the history of Groundhog Day, its science, and why it is important to American culture. Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro attended, calling it a time-honored celebration that brings thousands together. Today, we have very new technology to predict weather. So why does this old belief not only continue, but also grow? Why does it bring so much attention every year from people all over the world? 2. The old story. The unusual tradition of Groundhog Day has a very long history.
It started many centuries ago and traveled across different countries. To understand it, we must go back to ancient times in Europe. People called Celts had an important festival around February 1 and 2. They called it Imbolc. This day was special because it was in the middle of winter and spring. People believed they could guess the weather for the next 3 months. They also honored a goddess named Bridget, who they thought could change the seasons. They lit candles to show the coming of light after the dark winter. Later, when Christianity spread, it changed the old festivals. Imbolc became a new holiday called Candlemas. This new day kept the same date, February 2. It also kept the idea of predicting the weather. Christians blessed and gave out candles on Candlemas. They believed that if the sky was clear and sunny on Candlemas Day, winter would last longer. If the day was cloudy, spring would come sooner. This was a strange idea. Sunshine, which feels warm, meant more cold weather. Over time, people from Germany moved to America. They carried their Candlemas traditions to Pennsylvania in the 1700s. In Germany, they had a custom called Badger Day. They believed a badger could predict the weather. If the badger came out of its home on Candlemas and saw its shadow, it meant 4 more weeks of winter. But in their new home in America, badgers were not common animals, so the German settlers needed a different animal for their tradition.
They found the groundhog. Groundhogs were common in Pennsylvania, and they also slept through the winter, just like badgers. The groundhog became the new weather animal. One of the first times a groundhog was mentioned in this way was in a diary from 1840, written by a store owner in Pennsylvania. The tradition started small in local communities, but in 1886, a newspaper editor named Clymer H. Freyas made it much bigger. He worked for the Punxsutawney Spirit newspaper. He created the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club and said that Punxsutawney Phil, a local groundhog, was the one true weather predictor. Soon, newspapers everywhere started to talk about Phil's predictions. The very first official event with Phil happened on February 2, 1887, at a place called Gobbler's Knob. But how did this small custom, brought by German families, become a famous event known across the entire country? And what made it so special that everyone started to watch a groundhog to hear about the weather? 3. The Big Day. On February 2nd, 2026, thousands of people gathered at Gobbler's Knob. It was very cold, just 1 degree above zero. These visitors stood together in the dark, waiting for a groundhog. This was the 140th Groundhog Day celebration. A group called the Inner Circle, who wear special top hats, were ready. Their job is to help Punxsutawney Phil, the famous groundhog. Phil came out from his home.
He then spoke in Groundhogese to the Inner Circle president. Only the president understands this special language. The president then told everyone Phil's weather prediction. Phil saw his shadow. This meant there would be 6 more weeks of winter. The crowd made some unhappy sounds when they heard this. This prediction seemed true for 2026. Weather experts, called meteorologists, had already said that a polar vortex was coming. This meant very cold air would stay over the East Coast. The Climate Prediction Center also said February would be colder than usual. So for this year, Phil's winter forecast matched what the scientists predicted. It gave his old tradition a strange sense of being right. But Phil was not the only animal making a prediction. Across North America, many towns have their own groundhogs. They all made their forecasts on the same day. Staten Island Chuck in New York also predicted 6 more weeks of winter. However, Woodstock Willie in Illinois and Dunkirk Dave in New York both said spring would come early. Buffalo Bert, General Beauregard Bo Lee, and Woody the Woodchuck all agreed with Phil, saying winter would continue. It was like a big competition across the country. Punxsutawney Phil seemed right this time with his winter prediction. But was it just good luck, or does Phil really know about the weather?
People wonder what the real information, the hard data, tells us about how accurate Phil has been over the past 140 years. The real numbers. Groundhog Day is a charming tradition, but how does it stand against cold, hard science? Experts have studied Punxsutawney Phil's predictions for many years. The clear answer is that the groundhog's forecasts have no scientific value. There is no real, consistent link between Phil seeing his shadow and the actual arrival of spring-like weather. Scientists say the predictions are simply not valid. The numbers show this without doubt. Since the tradition began in 1887, Punxsutawney Phil has been accurate only 39% of the time. This means he has been wrong more often than he has been right. To understand this better, think about flipping a coin. A coin toss has a 50% chance of being correct. So, a simple coin toss is actually more reliable at predicting the weather than Phil. Looking at more recent years, from 1969, Phil's overall accuracy rate is even lower, around 36%. Many other animals also make predictions. Some of them are much more accurate. In 2025, a government agency called NOAA did a study. They ranked 19 weather-predicting animals across the United States.
Staten Island Chuck, living in New York City, was the most accurate, with an impressive 85% success rate. General Beauregard Lee from Georgia came in second place at 80%. However, Punxsutawney Phil, the most famous groundhog, was near the bottom. He ranked 17th out of 19, with only a 35% accuracy rate. This creates a mystery. Why is the groundhog with the worst prediction record the one everyone knows? The reason Phil often predicts more winter is straightforward. February 2nd in western Pennsylvania is frequently a clear, sunny day. When the sun shines, Phil sees his shadow. The Punxsutawney Groundhog Club believes that if Phil sees his shadow, it means 6 more weeks of bad weather, and he goes back to his hole. The problem is that the tradition confuses one sunny morning with a forecast for the next 6 weeks. Clear skies on one day do not mean winter will last longer. This simple flaw in the tradition's logic explains why Phil is so often wrong. The scientific data confirms that this method does not work as a true weather prediction tool. So if the tradition is a proven failure when it comes to forecasting, why did it become the subject of a beloved Hollywood film? And why has that film helped turn it into a $1 million industry? 5. A famous animal. Groundhog Day started as a small local event. But in 1993, a famous film changed everything. This movie was called Groundhog Day, and it starred Bill Murray. In the film, a man keeps reliving the same day. This comedy became very popular. It made over $70 million at the box office, making it the 13th highest-grossing film that year. More importantly, it made the holiday known to many more people. Before the film, only about 2,000 visitors came to Punxsutawney for the Groundhog Day event. After the movie, attendance grew a lot. It rose to about 10,000 people. Today, as many as 40,000 people visit Gobbler's Knob each year. This huge number of tourists brings much money to the small town. The Groundhog Day event adds more than $1 million to Punxsutawney's local economy every year. It is interesting to note that the movie was not filmed in Punxsutawney itself. The film was shot in Woodstock, Illinois. Even today, fans travel from many places to see the landmarks from the movie in Woodstock. This town also has its own yearly Groundhog Day celebration, which brings thousands of visitors and year-round tourism. The importance of Groundhog Day extends beyond these towns. Pennsylvania's governor, Josh Shapiro, sees tourism as a key part of the state's economy. He said, "Groundhog Day is a time-honored celebration of Pennsylvania's rich culture and sense of community, bringing together thousands of visitors from around the world." He called it one of the many events that make our Commonwealth unique.
In 2024, tourism in Pennsylvania brought in $83.9 billion and created over 500,000 jobs. So the film and the growing interest have made Groundhog Day a big public event. It is now a major part of tourism and culture. But away from this public spectacle, a different, more private tradition continues. This older tradition works hard to keep the original culture and language alive. 6. A secret language. Punxsutawney Phil is famous, but there are also less-known parts of Groundhog Day. One fun story is about Phil himself. People say he is very, very old, living since 1887. A normal groundhog lives only a few years, but the story says Phil lives long because he drinks a magic drink called Groundhog Nog every fall. This nog makes him live forever. Of course, this is not true. It is a part of the fun of the tradition. When an old Phil dies, a new groundhog takes his place, but he still has the name Phil. This myth helps keep the magic of Groundhog Day alive. Beyond these stories, there are special groups called groundhog lodges. You can find them in Pennsylvania Dutch country. These lodges are secret social clubs. Their main goal is to keep the Pennsylvania Dutch language and culture strong. This language is a special dialect that German immigrants brought to Pennsylvania many years ago. Now, fewer people speak it, so it is an endangered language.
Members of these lodges meet often. They call their meetings Versammlungen. At these meetings, there is one very important rule. Everyone must speak only Pennsylvania Dutch. If someone speaks English, especially when giving a speech, they have to pay a small fine. This rule helps members use and practice the old language. The meetings have songs, plays, weather news, and meals, all in Pennsylvania Dutch. These lodges show how an old tradition can help save a language. These groups work hard to keep their history alive. But soon, a new problem will appear. It is a big fight about what is right and wrong, and it might change Groundhog Day forever. This challenge could take away the very heart of this long-standing tradition. 7. A new problem. Groundhog Day now faces a new and important problem, focusing on animal well-being. In January of 2026, PETA, a large animal rights group, sent a letter. They made a surprising and futuristic suggestion: replace Punxsutawney Phil with a state-of-the-art hologram. Ingrid Newkirk, PETA's founder, clearly explained their reasons. She wrote that groundhogs are timid, wild animals. They naturally try to avoid people and loud places. But on Groundhog Day, Phil must face loud announcers, huge noisy crowds, and bright flashing lights. This environment is extremely stressful for an animal used to a quiet burrow. Phil is held up and moved around, which can cause significant distress.
PETA believes this shows no concern for his natural feelings, his health, or his instincts as a wild creature. PETA offered a clear plan to solve this. They proposed using a massive, modern 3D projection. This hologram groundhog could give the weather prediction. It would light up the stage at Gobbler's Knob each year. This way, the long-standing tradition could continue without causing any stress to a live animal. However, Pennsylvania's political leaders quickly rejected this modern idea. Governor Josh Shapiro responded on social media platform X. He shared a picture of Phil with a strong message: "Don't tread on me." This phrase, from an old flag of the American Revolutionary War, showed a firm defense of tradition and local custom. This was not the first time PETA tried to change the event. In 2025, they offered a special vegan cake that would reveal the prediction, but the Punxsutawney Groundhog Club also turned down that offer. This public debate shows a clear and fundamental conflict. It is a clash between modern ethical views on animal rights and a deeply cherished, long-held tradition. As society's relationship with animals changes, people are asking more important ethical questions about customs like Groundhog Day. How can we truly keep special cultural traditions alive while also making sure animals are treated kindly and with respect? This difficult question has no simple answer. We have explored the tradition's long past and its rich history.
Now, with this new debate, its future looks more uncertain than ever. This leads us to a final, profound question. What is the true, lasting meaning of this strange yearly ritual? The real meaning. Groundhog Day is a strange event. A small animal tells us about the weather, even if its predictions are not always right. But the real meaning of this special day is not about a perfect weather forecast. It is about something deeper that touches many people. This tradition, like many old ones, is about people coming together. It is about sharing hope during the long, cold winter months. We all need to feel that spring is coming, that light will return after darkness. Groundhog Day helps us mark this special turning point of the year. It reminds us that winter will not last forever, and brighter days are on their way. We can see this human need in many cultures around the world. The ancient Celtic festival of Imbolc, St. Bridget's Day in Ireland and Scotland, and Candlemas in Europe all happen around February 2nd. In France, it is Chandeleur, and in the Czech Republic, it is Chromnice. These different celebrations in various places show a common human wish. People want to know what the next season will bring, and they want to feel hope for warmer weather. These traditions show how ideas can travel across oceans and centuries, changing a little, but keeping their main meaning. Today, we have many modern ways to know the weather.
Satellites, powerful computers, and expert meteorologists give us much accurate information. But still, tens of thousands of people go to Punxsutawney to see a groundhog. This shows that some traditions survive not because they are scientifically useful, but because they are human. They bring us together in a shared moment. They are a yearly ritual that remind us of older times when people watched animals and the sky closely to understand the world and guess what was coming next. So the true value of Punxsutawney Phil is not in his weather prediction. It is in the way he gathers people from all over. He helps us share hope and look forward to the new life that spring brings. In a modern world full of facts and data, this simple animal helps us connect to each other and to the cycles of the natural world. What do you think is the most important part of Groundhog Day for people today?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.